Thanks to about 30 volunteers from the Naval Support Activity in Panama City and several other volunteers, the local Humane Society is beginning their big move. Early Saturday morning, the crew helped move its items out of the 23rd Street location and onto moving trucks, donated by 2 men and a truck company.
We have 3 trucks that we're going to be moving. We got 30 guys that are going to be helping us out, and so we're hoping to get it all done today and get operations to where we can open early next week.
Humane Society's old location, located here on 23rd Street, was just too small, so it was time for a move to this location where they'll have more than 7,000 square feet to work with the new thrift store, and hope to bring new customers.
I think the benefit of moving into 2 locations, one, the thrift store is going to have more merchandise and more space to move around, and the animal shelter, people are going to see that the animals are actually in dog runs and not small kennels.
And the animal shelter will be housed in a more temporary location at the old Cedar Grove Animal Hospital.
So our main goal is to get the Bay Avenue shelter up and running again and to get back in there so that we're able to help more animals in the community and more families in the community.
And we're ready to get everything set up and open for everybody to come in and see.
In Panama City, Daniel Guilliot, News Channel 7. It is the type of birthday party that any 6-year-old girl would love to have, surrounded by friends, family, presents, and cupcakes. There was one cupcake that had something more than just sugar and flour in it. This special cupcake actually had a present inside. It was her dad.
My daughter's birthday was on the 12th, and I felt terrible that I was going to miss it. My wife actually came up with the plan that we could surprise my daughter when I came home.
Sergeant Robert Young was deployed in Afghanistan for at least a year. It was a surprise that Ella's mom had a hard time keeping secret.
There were at least 10 times yesterday where I actually said something in front of my kids about my husband being here, and then I kind of had to backtrack, and I'm like, I mean when he gets home.
After Ella and her brother Clay came on stage to make a wish and blow out the candle on this giant cupcake, the surprise was revealed.
1, 2, 3, make your wish.
When I saw him pop out of the cupcake box, then I knew it was my dad. I was surprised.
Ella wasn't the only one getting a surprise gift. Lee Buick GMC of Crestview gave away a new Jeep to Sergeant Young as a welcome home gift. Welcome home, Sergeant Young, in Sandestin. Daniel Guilliot, News Channel 7.
We recognized about 4 or 5 years ago that we had to do a comprehensive spring restoration and protection plan for the Pitt and Sylvan Springs area. We were getting degradation of Pitt Springs, some degradation around Sylvan, a lot of stream bank erosion from people climbing on trees and rope swings and things of that nature.
I was overwhelmed when I saw this. You can't even recognize, that's the old parking lot to my right over here, and it doesn't even look nothing close to what it used to be.
The kind of situation where in the past when you're sitting watching TV, a National Geographic special, and looking at that on TV going, wow, that is so pretty, and it could be on the other side of the world. Well, guess what? It's the sort of place in a 15, 20, 30-minute drive. This is that unique and that beautiful.
We're going to have to let it stabilize for probably towards the end of the summer of 2011 to allow the landscape plants to grow in and to allow the slopes and everything around the site stabilized before we let the people get on it. I wish we could open it earlier, but we really need to protect it and let it stabilize in before we open it up. Once we open it.
It was a somber day in the streets of downtown Apalachicola. Apalachicola Historic Society staged a mock funeral, but no one died. The funeral was held for the entire town.
And we felt like this was a fitting event to really make people understand that by installing these very awful concrete structures in our city, that it really changes it.
Residents say they want Progress Energy to cancel plans to install new power poles in the historic downtown area, or at least consider other options. Funeral service began at the historic Rainey House and marched down to Riverfront, where several locals gathered to give eulogies, but also encouraged others in the city to voice their concern.
We need to keep the town beautiful, and putting up these poles is not maintaining the beauty of this small town.
After the service, residents pointed to this 60-foot power pole that stands above 50 feet from the only helipad for the local hospital. Residents said the poles will ruin the town's skyline, and they are not giving up without a fight.
We can win this battle, and that's the message that we want to send to Progress Energy. We can win this battle.
The Historic Society has retained a lawyer, and the Apalachicola City Commission also passed a resolution last Tuesday asking Progress Energy to put plans on hold for 90 days to consider other options.
As far as the city commission is concerned, they have asked for the moratorium, and Lord knows I'm for that. I don't know if it'll make any impression on Progress Energy or not.
For now, residents hope Saturday's funeral procession remains a mock service. In Apalachicola, Daniel Guilliot, News Channel 7. About 300 volunteer firefighters from Northwest Florida and Southern Alabama spent this weekend in Niceville for certified training. More than 25 courses were offered, including structure fire, assisting forestry officials fighting woods fire, and even helping local EMS services.
Training is a very, very important part of their careers in the volunteer fire service, and this is just a way for the community to give back to them.
Many of the new volunteer firefighters learned a great deal about their jobs and how to apply the tools they need to effectively fight fires.
It's definitely a good experience. You learn a lot, and you walk away knowing you have the confidence to go actually in a building and fight the fire.
This weekend's certified training event is offered at no cost, which helps in a big way for a lot of these volunteer firefighters and the departments they work for.
The total cost for a department would be staggering to provide any level of training like this, but through sponsorships and support from the local community, we're able to offer it for free.
The annual event has wrapped up, but officials remind firefighters that training never ends.
We're always trying to get in a training environment because to remind us to do the things that we need to do to stay safe.
In Niceville, Daniel Guilliot, News Channel 7. The blaze broke out about 3:30 Friday afternoon at this house just off Highway 231, a little north of Pipeline Road intersection. 2 adults and 2 children lived in the home, which is now considered a total loss. According to State Fire Marshal Tommy Berry, the blaze is being blamed on a clogged-up dryer vent. Bay County fire officials say it's something they see all too often.
It's a very common occurrence. Over 81% of those fires occur at the home. So, and just a really simple step, you can kind of prevent a fire from occurring.
Battalion Chief Vigil says lint catches fire very easily.
Dryers, when they operate, are meant to vent, and if they don't vent, then what happens is you have a buildup of that heat, and eventually that lint is flammable. And all it takes is one spark or any portion of that heating element to become clogged and just warm up enough to where it'll ignite, and then that would cause a fire.
Fire officials recommend that you clean your dryer vent twice a year and your lint trap after every use.
We always recommend that people check their smoke detectors whenever the time changes, change the batteries. Maybe that would also be a good time to clean out your dryer vent twice a year whenever the time changes.
In Panama City Beach, Daniel Guilliot, News Channel 7.
Do that when it's not operating.
About 30 drivers and more than 100 spectators gathered at the Carabel Thompson Airport this weekend. They weren't there to see planes take off. This time it was to see cars take off.
The Panhandle doesn't really have anything like this where you can, besides the little 8th mile drag strip. So this is somewhere that would give them an ability to achieve a higher speed and also in a bigger environment.
People traveled as far as Atlanta and Pensacola to take part in this event.
A really friendly environment, even though we're kind of competing against each other in a way. It's still nice.
They did a good job, and I'll come back next year.
Event organizers say this event was so successful that they're looking forward to doing this next year.
We've got the green light to do a few events here. We're hoping to probably do 2 a year. Also, we'll probably end up expanding into some bigger cities, maybe Atlanta and stuff like that. But Carabel's our home. That's where we started, so we're always going to keep it here for sure.
In Carabel, Daniel Guilliot, News Channel 7.
Awesome. It's refreshing, very, very refreshing. And as soon as you take a bite, you're like, oh, I'm in heaven.
Welcome to the town of Chipley, Florida, where every year hundreds of people come together to enjoy the Watermelon Festival.
I enjoy that it seems like Chipley comes together. It's an annual thing and it brings a lot of other people into Chipley to see what Chipley's all about.
The festivities Saturday kicked off with the annual Watermelon Parade that passed through the historical downtown Chipley area. After the parade, festivities goers made their way through Washington County Agricultural Center, where there were plenty of activities, from arts and crafts to the annual car show. But make no mistake about it, there's only one thing that brings people back to this festival year after year.
Watermelon, watermelon, watermelon.
With temperatures almost feeling like 100 degrees, watermelon is proven to be much more than just a tasty treat. It's actually a great way to cool down.
This is nice. You don't have to have your fan or nothing outside. You're like, oh, this is a good watermelon.
This church congregation made the trip all the way from Enterprise, Alabama.
We brought the kids. They have worked very hard this year just to come and celebrate with you all at the Watermelon Fest.
In Chipley, Daniel Guilliot, News Channel 7.